everyone here this evening. It's a pleasure to be your host today. And this evening, I am here with Esther Ekemode, who will also be assisting me in this Ask the Expert session. And like we all know, we're here to hear from a seasoned cybersecurity specialist who is our guest today and will be answering our questions. He'll be answering all the questions that we have asked during the registration process and others that we will also be asking here today. And the goal of this session is to help those of you that are interested in getting into cybersecurity, and for those who are already who have taken the leap into cybersecurity, it's going to help you better understand what your journey is expected to look like and how you can thrive as a cybersecurity specialist or as someone who's just getting into the field of cybersecurity. It's interesting to note that this session was actually born out of a question that was posed by Esther in one of our community sessions. And I felt, oh, I know someone who's an expert in cybersecurity who will be able to provide the resources that you need. And we didn't just want to make it an internal affair. We decided to open it up for other women who are interested in the field of cybersecurity to come have an opportunity to speak with someone one-on-one, right, to answer their burning questions. And I believe that this is going to be a very impactful session today. And with that, I'd like to make welcome our guest for today. His name is Adewale Aderoju. I would ask that he turns on his camera so we can spotlight him. Then I can take his bio. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. So like I said earlier, Adewale Aderoju is a seasoned IT professional and he has over 6 years of work experience. He received his bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Ilorin. And prior to this time, he has been working as a freelance software engineer. He has also worked, trained, and served as an instructor for Google and Andela as a software engineer. Now, I'm going to read everything. He received his first master's in financial engineering from World Quant University, US, his second master's in cybersecurity from EC Council University, US, where he received 3 Dean's Awards for academic excellence. His third master's in cybersecurity is from Mohammed VI University, Morocco, and his MBA from Quantic School of Business and Technology, US. He has also received several professional certifications, such as Certified Ethical Hacker, Certified Application Security Engineer, Certified Cloud Security Engineer, Certified Network Defender, and Cisco Certified Network Associate, Certified Chief Information Security Officer, among many other certifications. Wow. Adewale has represented Nigeria in a hacking competition organized by Hacker Lab Africa and sponsored by ECOWAS. He's also a winner of the Green Fist hacking competition, where he put Nigeria ahead of other African countries. He has trained over 1,000 young cybersecurity professionals across the globe via Product Hub Africa and the Young CISO Network. He's currently a senior cybersecurity engineer, application security with Unity Bank PLC Nigeria, and he's the vice president, information and data security at Expedier, a leading fintech in North America that is also a beneficiary of Google's Startup 2023. Isn't that amazing? Well done. It's a pleasure to have you here today. I'm so happy. Thank you for honoring the invitation to come do this with the community. I know that we don't have everyone who has registered and asked questions here today, but I believe that because we are recording this session, they will also get to have their, they'll get to learn about your responses to their questions when they come back to watch the replay of this session. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to every one of you also who has joined and for those who asked questions. We have over 45 questions, right? And so I actually had to group the questions together because some of them were a bit related. And so we're just going to delve right into the question and answer session. But I'm going to give Esther the privilege to start this question and answer session because she's the primary reason why we're gathered here today. So Esther, this is your chance. This is your time. Please, you can take it up from here.
And good evening, everyone. Thank you so
Good
much
evening.
for the opportunity. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Madam Aghama, for all you do for us. It was just a simple question, and I didn't know it was going to blow out like this. Thank you very much. So I've been on the cybersecurity thing, I think a year plus. Actually, I am a computer teacher. I teach ICT in a government school. So I
So,
started with
sorry, I can't hear you well. I don't know if you can,
okay.
increase the volume. Yes, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I said I actually teach ICT in a government secondary school. So I started with this cybersecurity journey. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, about a year and a half. Actually, I started with data analytics, and I felt that I've not gotten to where I am, so I moved to cybersecurity. I've taken a number of steps. I did CC, and even last week, I mean about 2 weeks ago, I was at IFE for an ethical hacking training. So it feels that I'm still not there. What am I missing? Anytime I hear people talk, it used to be as if the journey is still very long. So I asked Madam, and this is how we came up here, because I had the intention of taking a Security Plus exam. So please, can you help to analyze or explain the pathway so that there's this saying that say if you want to go far, you go with people. So let it not be that we just be merry-go-rounding at a point. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, so I believe I'm audible enough, right? Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Jesurobo, for this opportunity, and thank you, moms, I don't know. Maybe it's mom who codes or
MumsWhoCode, women in
yeah,
tech.
men in tech, great. Like an avenue. Thank you so much for this privilege to have me this evening. All right, just to answer your question, Esther. So, I understand the fact that you are trying to, break into cybersecurity and you are finding it a bit pretty difficult. All right. So, and one of the things I ask people is, what do you want to be? Like you say, you want to do cybersecurity. Do you want to be an ethical hacker? Do you want to be a security operations center analyst? Do you want to be, a governance, risk and compliance specialist, right? So what aspect of cybersecurity are you interested in? That's the first thing. And have you personally researched, those things? We have on Google, YouTube. Uh, have you done your homework, just to be able to pick an area which you want to specialize, in. So, and if you can answer that, I think it's going to be, one of the most, breakthrough you're going to have before entering into cybersecurity. Because when you know what you want to focus, your focus, you won't be here and there because there is a tendency of you, going here and there in this space. So that's why it's quite important for you to know what you want to do and get to know, the career aspect you want to specialize in. So, like you said, from what you've mentioned, it means you want to be an ethical hacker, right? If I'm right. So, and becoming an ethical hacker is a great thing. It's one of the things that people love to do in the industry. But I tell people there are a lot of technical skills that you need to gather as an ethical hacker. I myself am an ethical hacker. I'm a certified ethical hacker. Like it's fun. Today, I've trained guys 4 hours, both within the country and outside the country, on how to become an ethical hacker. And when I was in a session with them, I gave them a website and they're able to crack the website. They log in into the administrator, they are happy, right? But the process wasn't that easy when they started a few months ago, right? So what the process like? The process is this. I took them through networking, ensuring they have good understanding of networking, because if you don't understand networking, trust me, you can't be a good cybersecurity engineer, you can't be a good ethical hacker, right? If you don't understand networking, you don't understand programming, at least introduction to programming, basic things, in programming, you should know maybe how to read your HTML, how to read your JavaScript and codes, how do you interact, those things are very, very important. They are very, very key. So these are the things I felt that we really need to look into and get it right before you can move into cybersecurity. So I like how we said, if you can tell me more about your background, maybe I'll be able to guide better. But like I said, these are general things you need to know. Networking, introduction to networking, introduction to programming. All right. I think you did mention you did CCNA, right? No, okay. So introduction to programming, introduction to networking. Yeah, CC is an entry-level certification, teach you more around, how do we call it, access control, administrative management, and all those kind of things. So it's also a good thing. And one thing I want us to know is certification does not mean you get a hands-on. If you don't practice, you can get better. The more you practice, the more you get better. That's just the scope. But however, first thing is getting to know the foundation. Trust me, enter into networking, get to understand what is networking, what are different ports, because you deal with ports the most when you are doing ethical hacking. Get into network programming, understand your posts, your GET requests, understand a class, how do you interpret a function, a method, all those things are what you need to know. For me, I find it very easy because I started as a programmer. So it was quite easier for me to become an ethical hacker. And along the line, I learned, I did my CCNA, learn about router switches configuration, studied all the ports. So when I see port 8080 open on a server, I know what I can do. If I see port 443, I know what is speaking to. If I see SMTP, I know what those ports are doing, because it's very, very clear. There are basic foundations that you should have. All right, so that's what I have to say for now.
Thank you so much for that. I think that actually is a great way to start this session, because the questions that we have here actually started with the prerequisites for a career in cybersecurity. And this question actually aligns with 8 people, about questions from 8 different people. And the question is, what are the essential first steps, the foundational knowledge, and key prerequisites needed to successfully transition into a cybersecurity career? I know that you have said, you have touched on that in your previous response, but is there 1 or 2 things you'd like to add, especially regarding tech background and formal education?
All right, so to speak to that, first thing I'm gonna mention is this. Your technical background really matters, right? I encourage people, understand. Some people cannot operate computer. I'm serious. So, like, some people cannot operate computer, and they say they want to do cybersecurity engineering. So when you say you want to operate computer, some don't even know the basic things that works, all right, in a computer. So which is very, very key. So, and the first thing is, for instance, you get to understand what are operating system. I tell people, it starts from you understanding of different operating system. Some people can interact, properly on, Linux. Some can only operate on Windows alone. And as an ethical hacker, you need to understand things around Linux, right? Because when you interact with your Kali Linux, you need to understand how it works better, right? You'll be interacting with different commands on Linux, so you need to understand different operating system. I tell people, get to understand different operating system. Then after that, transit into you understand the basic, rudiments of computing. And that starts with the likes of hardware devices. Don't just say they are just hardware devices, right? Because, for instance, if you want to, conduct security assessment on a router and the switches, you have to connect, right? You have to connect to your system using some certain ports, right? And all these ports are what you're going to work with. Okay? So it is quite important for us to understand the basic rudiments, starting with different operating systems, starting with networking, starting with after networking, you can, deal with programming like I mentioned earlier. And then when it comes to, qualifications and degree, yeah, computer science is not a bad place to start from, because when you study computer science, they're going to teach you many things. And like when I mean many things, they start from, the likes of introduction to programming, different programming languages. Sorry, I'm mentioning programming languages because that's one of the most difficult aspects of, cybersecurity, because people don't know programming. People run away from programming and they don't want to be a programmer, which is one of the reasons why they decided to opt, in for the likes of governance, opt in for the likes of I'm not saying those, because those disciplines are not good. They are good. Opting for the likes of system administrator, opting for the likes of let me say system administrators, just mention some career path that does not require you to write code. But I always tell people, when you want to start your career, start from the most difficult, which is programming. If you are so strong in programming, then you can succeed in every aspect of IT. Even in network engineering, you still write some scripts. Like me, I write some script. For instance, let me say I built an organization network, and I'm assigning IPs to different, hosts. When I mean hosts, I'm talking about different computers that they have in their office, right? So when I'm assigning IPs to those laptops, I can build it in such a way that I write a script that I don't have extra IP addresses. That is, if I have 6 laptops, I'm going to assign just ordinary those 6 IPs to those 6 laptops without having anyone left. I can do that with a Python script. So just imagine, as a network engineer, you don't understand how to write Python script. How do you survive? How will you be able to do such things, right? Part of what I've done in the past is writing scripts, to ensure that you can't install any other applications on a particular system. And that is just being done by me writing just a simple bash script. So programming is very, very key. I encourage everybody to learn programming. You might not learn the programming because you want to be a programmer, but learn it because you're going to apply it to what you are doing. So a basic education, in the likes of having a basic education in, a basic computing education. It could be NC, it could be NC, it could be ND, it could be BSc 1, 2, understanding how computing works is very, very key. Not just that I'm plugging my mouse, is working. I'm browsing on internet, is working. What is happening? Learn the basic. Be curious about understanding how this thing works. That is what makes you an engineer. What is the technology behind these things? You understand? So curiosity will really help you as well. So then at the end, you can take up, entry-level certifications so that you can solidify your knowledge. And the last thing I'm going to say the most is practice what you are studying. Build virtual labs, build test environments, and implement, get them dirty. Build a mini lab at home and practice all what you are taught. All right. So that's just all I have to say for you entering into cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think there's something that really resonates, and that's understanding how these technologies work. It's not enough to plug it and then it plays, right? You need to understand how it works. Curiosity will help you. And I think one of the reasons why most of us are here today is because I think everybody is because we are curious, right? Curious as to how to get into cybersecurity, how to navigate, how to thrive. And so that takes me to the next question, which is, can you provide a brief overview of what cybersecurity entails day to day? But before you answer that question, I realized that we haven't even touched on what is cybersecurity in the first place. I think we missed that question. What is cybersecurity? I know we all know cybersecurity in different ways. We interpret it differently to mean different things. If you ask one person, they might tell you, oh, it's the ability for you to use the right password, ensure that your email is not hacked into by an external person. People can say, oh, it's the ability for you to ensure that your website is safe. I'm sure there are numerous interpretations by different people. But from the perspective or from your own knowledge and experience, what is cybersecurity?
All right, so thank you for that question. For me, from my personal understanding, cybersecurity, the word cyber and security are two words. The first thing is cyber. When we talk about cyber, we talk about the cyberspace generally, right? Interconnected devices. And the next thing is security, right? We are providing security to the cyberspace. That's just, basic layman definition or understanding of what cybersecurity is. You are providing security to the cyberspace, isn't it? Because that is where, and the cyberspace consists of network of interconnected networks, right? So when we talk about, your WW, World Wide Web and the likes, connection of internets, right? Networked devices. So cybersecurity basically in layman language is you providing security to interconnected devices. Let me put it that way. And I mean interconnected devices, your laptop is connected to one internet or the other, right? So somewhere, you have to protect it. All right. You have your website, you have your mobile app. It's going to be connected to something before someone can use it. So everything you see that works today is connected. All right. And what we are doing, we are providing security for them. And for you to be able to provide security for those interconnected environments, network segments, softwares, you need to understand how they work, right? And that's how you'll be able to provide security for it. So cybersecurity generally is just you providing security, in the digital space or in the networked or interconnected environment. So that's just basic
Thank you.
understanding of security.
Thank you for that. So what does a day look like, right? What do you get to do? And maybe you can touch a bit about some key principles of the profession.
All right, thank you. So, starting with what, is cybersecurity in a day-to-day life. People see us as hackers, some see us as the bad boy, some see us as good guy, right? Well, we are bad boy, clothed with good guy, right? Talking as an ethical hacker now. So a day-to-day activities as a cybersecurity engineer depends on what you are, it depends on what area you are and your area of specialization, right? So the first thing I'm going to speak to is, as a cybersecurity engineer in day-to-day life, we have different aspects. We have security operations centers, right? We call them SOC. These are the set of people that monitors, your environment. All right. And how do they do that? They have different security solutions they make use of. They have what we call SIM, right? SIM are a form of solution. They give events management and incident responses, all right, so that people so they give event management and responses so that people can, be able to respond, so that they can get to know what is going on in an environment. So let me explain what I'm trying to say by all this, my grammar. So for instance, some of us work in a company, work in a bank, work in private organizations. You discover that your admin will reach out to you. Hey, Alpha, you are logging in from, initially you used to log in from Lagos, but now you are logging in from US. They will send you a notification. If you are not the one, please change your password. You understand? We notice that you logged in from a different location. I don't know if you've gotten something like that. So it's as a result of security operations centers. So there is a SIM tool that they use, that all the computer or all the applications are connected to. All right. So from their end, they sees what you are doing, and they can advise you based on what you are doing and tell you, oh, if you aren't the one, please change your password. That's a security operation. That's what they do on a daily basis. They monitor, all right? They deal with monitoring, all right? So we have the aspect of, pen testing, ethical hacking, right? Which I specialized in. What we do basically is, for instance, before you launch your website, you launch your mobile app, we conduct a thorough security assessment to be sure that there are no loopholes. We work as an internal hacker, right? We hack down your website, we hack down your mobile app and exploit it, all right? So that you can fix it before you put it out there for external party to for other customers to make use of. So in the process of you doing that, we are going to discover different loopholes, all right? Because we ourselves are trained hacker. We're going to discover those loopholes, then advise you on how to, protect those loopholes. You fix those loopholes. So once you're able to fix those loopholes, then you can now launch your application. So that's, how an application security engineer lifestyles look like. That is what we do on a daily basis, and that is what we are being paid for. The same thing happens to red teamers. There are different career opportunities in it. All right. So another person is this, the like of vulnerability managers. We have them too. They discover vulnerabilities, right? And then they remedy maybe on server, on an application, or a device, and the like. So those are the way our day-to-day activities are, and those are the things we do. We ensure even on network, we check security, we log into the network. For instance, day in, day out, you get updates on things like vulnerabilities. Maybe for instance, Fortinet, they release another patch. Hackers have discovered that there's a loophole. Different solutions you just discover, they come into you and they have different loopholes. And what you do is you ensure that before those loopholes are exploited on your environment, you get to know them and tell your team so that they can patch, or fix whatsoever it is. So basically, our lifestyle as an offensive security engineer, you do more of, research, finding. All we will do is finding vulnerabilities in our environment, finding vulnerabilities before an external party does that, so that we can fix it before they get hold of us. So basically, that's just what it is. In every means, we are protecting the organization before an external party does something that is going to cause us, to lose billions of naira, right? So that's our day-to-day activities. Thank you.
Interesting, thank you. And then you were going to mention that there are other people within like the cybersecurity team, and I think that takes me to the next question, which is, what are the various career paths within cybersecurity? Is it just cybersecurity, or there are different areas in cybersecurity that individuals can choose to specialize in? For you, you say you're a pen tester or ethical hacker, right? So what are the other opportunities that exist for someone who thinks, oh, maybe I don't want to be a pen tester, maybe this is what I could consider? What are the options?
All right. So the first thing I would like to mention is this. Some of us are pen testers, some of us are vulnerability managers, some of us are security operations center analysts, which is SOC that I mentioned earlier. Some of us are, governance specialists, some of us are risk, some of us are governance specialists, some of us are compliance specialists, right? So there are different, areas of cybersecurity that you can, go into. But I always advise people to start with what you think you know the most, right? Based on your background, based on your previous experience, maybe you've worked as an IT admin before, you've worked as a network engineer before, you can always pick the path to which, you want to specialize on. Do we get that? So it is very, very important for us to be able to deduce that. So firstly, I can say that you can be you can be a pen tester, you can be a vulnerability manager, you can be a SOC analyst, you can be a governance specialist, you can be a compliance specialist. Those are the different career paths that I know that you can join. All right. So that's that, by the way. So I wouldn't know, maybe tomorrow you can decide to be a cybersecurity lecturer as well. Yes, you can decide to be a cybersecurity tutor. We need someone out there to train more young guys that are coming in the industry. But I always tell people, before you even venture into training people, you must be a master of what you do. That is, you must understand the theoretical aspects, the hands-on in particular. So that's what I'm going to say to that. I don't know if that answers the question, probably.
I hope that the person or the persons who asked the question, I hope that they are here, and I hope that they got your response clearly. So the next question is, what are the most valuable certifications and courses for beginners? Do you have any tips for preparing for and passing certification exams? So the first is, what are the most valuable certifications and courses for beginners? Then the next is, do you have any tips for preparing for and passing certification exams? So after this question, after you take this question, I'm going to leave the floor open for anyone on the call who has a question to ask that is different from the questions that I have asked earlier. So you can take these questions now.
All right. So to speak to that, when it comes to certifications and how to pass certifications, right? Yeah, I have a couple of certifications, right? And part of the ways, in which I've been able to pass certifications is by reading. Trust me, people talks about dump and the likes, right? If you have dump, you can go, but there are some certifications with dump, you can't pass it. That's the honest truth. So what's the essence of you, going for using dump to pass an exam? Is it not because you want to seek knowledge? Is it not because you want to be a master of what you're doing? So why not take your time, to read? What I do is I spend so much, in taking certifications. I don't just go and buy certification vouchers, and the likes. I go and pay for training, right? I use EC Council mostly because that was the school I had my master's and a lot of things from. So I pay for the training. The training could be 3 months. It could be $2,000. It could be $2,500. I go there to pay for the training. And after the training, I sit the certification. And trust me, I passed 1996 something, for the certification. So well, I've acquired the knowledge, before going to sit for the certification. But most people nowadays, they just want to pass certification to post on LinkedIn, right? Just post, I acquired this, I acquired that. But what's the knowledge behind it? Do you go and seek the knowledge first? So the idea behind certification is seek the knowledge first. Then after getting the certification, you can go out there and then see tell the world I'm good at this. That's what certification is saying. I'm a master of this, and I can handle this if I'm being tested now. Okay, so but when you talk about passing, that's just the scope. All right. So talking about relevant certifications, like Esther mentioned, start with the like of CC. They are not expensive. If you want to be a pen tester, start with the likes of MumsWhoCode certifications. So it's one of the platforms I'm still going to recommend for you to start learning from. MumsWhoCode, Portfolio Academy, you get a MumsWhoCode certification. They have different labs, plenty labs. You learn everything about web application penetration testing, web app penetration testing, API penetration testing are on it. So start with open source resources, the likes of Hack the Box, right? Try Hackmain. Those are different platforms of which they are open source and you can learn from them. Then when you get see certification, you come out in flying colors. So for relevant certification, like I mentioned, CC, MumsWhoCode, you can start with CEH. Those courses, CEH and the likes are very, very expensive. And that's why I always advise you to start with open source. Be sure that you exhausted, all the open source certification resources that are available before going into the paid one. Because those ones are going to train you on a lot of things so that when you pay for paid one, you pay like 1.2, 1.3 million for, CH, you won't just go and waste your money. You are passing it, not just that you just want to go and try. Okay, so I encourage you to start with free certifications. Then after a while, you can start paying, for paid certifications. So CH, CC, CCNA for network, you need network knowledge, CompTIA Security Plus, and SN Plus, S Plus, all those kind of things. Just ensure you take all those entry-level certifications before you can now graduate to, the likes of CCSAR, CCSO, all those kind of big OSCP, depending on the career path you are building. So the certification you should be getting should also be in accordance to the career path you are building. So it's very, very essential. All right, but I advise you to go for the like of CEH, the likes of CEH, EJPT, all those kind of things, TCM certified security for entry level. All right, so that's just all I have to say for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So someone has a question in the chat. Like I said, The floor is now open for you to ask questions. So if you have questions that are different from the ones I have asked our guests, please, this is a moment when you get to ask those questions. You can either drop your question in the chat or you can unmute and ask your question. We'll give about 5 minutes for that. Okay, so Huailat says she wants you to drop the names of the open source certifications. She says drop the names of the open source certifications. Okay. Does anyone have a question to ask different from what we have asked? If you have a question to ask, this is the time where you can ask your question. Please ask your question. Okay, so Esther Sunday says she has a question. You can unmute your mic, please, and ask.
Good evening, Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I want to ask, for someone who is, well, when wants to dive in cybersecurity, but wants to go into ethical hacking and digital forensics, what are the basics? What are the basics the person has to acquire in terms of experiences, certification, the basic certifications that leads to that part? Because I've noticed that mostly the some certifications that are quite open are always quite different. Like they are always in different other aspects of cybersecurity, and it's mostly something off. And I don't know, I can't actually wrap my head on where to head on to. I can't just. So I want to ask, what are the basic things like for me that wants to head into digital forensics as a part of cybersecurity and that field of cybersecurity, digital forensics, and ethical hacking. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, so can I go on with that?
Yes, please.
No, so Esther, right? Esther Sunday, right?
Yes.
So just to answer your question, I think we did mention some of those things at the beginning of the session. You want to go into forensic, right? All those things look big in your side, like they are big things, I want to be a forensic, I want to be, an AppSec engineer, I want to be this and that. To every big pictures or every big building in this life, they all started with a block, right? It's a block. Every building started with a block, right? Then they had another block, they had another block, they had another block, and that's what made that gigantic building you're seeing today. So to your career path is in progress. Let me tell you, let me be honest with you, is in progress. Like, don't rush yourself. Try to do one thing at a time. Yeah, forensic is looking amazing, great. It's amazing, right? But learn the basics. If you don't learn the basics of everything you are doing, you're gonna find it difficult as you move on in your career path. And that's why I started the other time. When you want to start your career path, start with the likes of introduction to networking. Understanding of programming is very, very key. Okay, if you've started all those aspects, then trust me, you can now move further into the core of cybersecurity. How does an hacker thinks? All right. So when you want forensic is more about you building an hacker's mindset. I took a course with EC Council on having an hacker's mindset, right? You need to build your hacker's mindset. You want to you mentioned something ethical hacking, basic understand networking, programming, and I can assure you different operating system. You can use Linux, you understand your ports, probably. Then all you need to do is then start learning different cybersecurity tools and be performing wonders. If you can master each cybersecurity tool, you can perform wonders as an ethical hacker. But if you don't understand program, because when you are doing your ethical hacking, you are going to break code. You break mobile application, you break web application. If you don't understand what the developer wrote, how do you know you need to tweak something to be able to exploit something, right? So they are very thin. How do you know that a user, the authentication maybe for a banking app is just using UID alone, all right? Or it's just using username and password, it's just using session management or something like that. Are there other security measure that should be there? How do you know you can bypass OTP if you don't even know how OTP was developed in the first place? So you need to understand the basic rudiment of what you want to secure. How does a mobile application work? How does a web application, well, I mean your website, how does it work? What happens when a user logs in? What happens when I'm saying send? What happens when I'm sending email? Which protocol am I using to send email? Is it, SMTP? What port number? Is it port 25? All those things you need to understand. The curiosity is what makes you an hacker. You want to understand what is running behind all these things. So when you have a good understanding of all those basics, then you can build a complex knowledge on them. But if you don't have all this basic understanding, trust me, you might get to the top, fine, but trust me, these two things is going to bring you down. All right. So, like I said, start with these basic things. When you are fine with it, trust me, I can easily, provide a guide if you need or someone else. But just ensure your foundation is very, very strong. It's very, even with the advent of this AI and everything, you have to understand the core. You understand? You have to understand what you are doing. Know the nitty-gritty of everything. Then when you understand the nitty-gritty of what you are doing, then you can provide your forensic, your ethical hacking measures, and everything into it. Because what we do as a security engineer is that we know the right thing for things to work, but we want to approach it in an abnormal way. Let me approach this. And normally people are meant to log in, with their username and password. But for me, I don't want to log in with my username and password. I want to bypass password. I can write an SQL injection query to bypass my password if the DB is porous. But before then, I have to understand, okay, how many columns, how many rows are in my DB? My password is how many lengths, because I understand what is happening at the back end. That is why I can be thinking this way. So you need to understand the basic things, you understand, of networking, programming, then start building on it. Different operating system, then you start building on it. And you start building on it. Like I said, every big gigantic building you see today starts with a block. A block, add another block, another block. Make sure you read every day. I read every day and add something new to your life. Before you know it, you become the master of what you are doing. All right, so that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Does anyone else have a question? So I saw a question that says, what is the career path for GRC? I don't know what GRC means, I must admit. I believe you understand what that means. So someone is asking, what is the career path?
All right, so GRC means governance, risk, and compliance.
Okay.
Governance, risk, and compliance. Okay. The career path to that is, trust me, I wouldn't say that it's it's not that simple, and it's not that easy, and it's not that difficult. But all you need to know is you must be someone that is given to writing, reading, all right, and you understand, basic frameworks. There are different frameworks we make use of in GRC. So let me talk about the governance. So governance basically governance help you to interact more with stakeholders in your organization when it comes to security planning and all. So they ensure proper communication, they build charts, they interact more, they ensure that your technical terms is being relatable by the management. You understand? Management are all about money, money, money. But you are speaking your technical jargon, they don't understand. What value are you bringing to the table? Governance ensure there is a proper, communication between you and the management to be able to protect their business. Okay? All right. So in governance, again, you can talk about the likes of compliance, the likes of risk, GRC. They have different frameworks. All right. For payment card integration in the banking sector, we have what we call PCI DSS. All right. They make use of NIST. So what they do is CBN has some do's and don'ts, and there are things that you must, meet up with. MasterCard have the same thing. Different, regulatory bodies in the security, in the financial sector and every other sector in the country, they have different frameworks that they want you to interact with. So you must be able to study those frameworks properly and ensure that your business is not defaulting in any of all those things to avoid sanctions. So if you are missing in any of all those things, like data protection law, we have Nigerian Data Protection Act now. It was once a regulation, but now an act. Like now they started in February, was it not February or March? If you don't meet up with it, I think they are collecting some, maybe 10 million or so from small businesses and the likes like that. So you have to ensure your business is, operating in alignment with all those standards that are already existent by your governing body. Okay, so that is what they do the most in GRC, trust me. But they read a lot and they document. You read to understand those framework, and you must document, because when CBN or every other regulator comes to your organization, they want to see the flow, the process, the right ways in which you are doing all those things to make sure that you are protecting the integrity of the customers. That's just the way it works. I don't know if I answer your questions.
Okay, so I think the person wants to know how can she, right, become like a governance and risk and compliance person. And if I want to fine-tune that question, I'll say, is it like an entry level role, or do you have to start up being like a cybersecurity professional, and then you go to a certain level and then you can now become, is it like a managerial role, or is it something that you can start off with right at the beginning of your career?
All right, so for governance, risk, and compliance, there are entry-level rules for it. There's nothing you can learn because it's less of technical skills, right? It is less of you saying, I want to write code, but you still need to understand how those things are working so that you can know that your team are doing the right thing. You understand? So there are entry-level roles. I have people that enter into them from entry level. It depends on, but you need to build, the knowledge of all those things, because if I want to interview you for GRC, I will ask you around different frameworks, NIST, PCI DSS, just mention a few. I'm going to ask you because you need to understand how it works, right? You need to understand how they work. So if you can mention to me how they work, that means you understand it. Then I can bring you on board to come and implement it, because there are implementation processes, right? So there's nothing that is for senior person. Let me say that. Everything in this field is learnable, right? So not to scare you, everything in this field is learnable. You can learn it, but it just depends on how focused you are. It depends on how focused you are and your commitment to what you are doing. So that's just all that matters the most, trust me. That's all that matters the most. Yeah, it's very, very key. So for career paths into that field, try as much as possible to have as much as possible cybersecurity knowledge, basic knowledge that you can. Then trust me, you survive. You survive. But go and read all those frameworks. Okay? So that's all. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. For explaining, giving us details about that. The next question here is, how can someone gain practical, hands-on cybersecurity experience, especially when starting out? Now you have learned everything that you need to learn. You have written the certification, and then you are looking for your role. You're looking for an entry-level role, and they're asking you for experience. How can one gain such experience that are needed to get into the profession?
All right, so to start with, I'm going to start with I in particular. So how I started, gaining mastery of what I do is this. I started by practicing what I learned. So that's why I mentioned you need to practice. And ask me, how do you practice? Some people say, how do I practice and the like? When you look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn is my home. LinkedIn is my home. There are different, there are different people that post different things on LinkedIn. And when they post different things, they post things around how to build your home lab. You understand? I don't know, maybe you see something like around that, how to build home lab. So you really need to understand how to build your home lab. So home lab, do you know that there's what we call Windows Server? Windows Server is more or less like you having your normal PC. I can have everything on the same system. I can provision like 10 Windows Server. Okay, I'm going to have my firewall. All right, I implement my firewall. And just like I'm creating a normal work environment, I have my firewall, connect everything to firewall, I have my domain controller. All right. I have my domain controller. I promoted one of those servers to become a domain controller so that it can work like as if I have an Active Directory environment. All right. So I can simulate, many things depending on what I want to achieve. So you simulate those kind of environment like as if you are in a normal working environment, then you can start launching attack. So that is how to build mastery. And that is why you see I dropped something like portsugar.net. Is a good platform for you to learn from. They have different simulated labs. And again, to add to that, you can get vulnerable labs on websites. We have OWASP vulnerable labs. These vulnerable labs are just like things that shows you, the kind of attack that you can meet in the environment. They've built those labs. You just go there to solve those labs so that when you encounter such situations, while working, you can know how to address them. Okay, so that's, just to answer that aspect. That's how to build yourself. That's how to gain hands-on. Let me tell you, it's very difficult for you to get an entry-level role as a cybersecurity engineer. And why? I won't give you my environment to come and mess up. I won't give you my environment to come and mess up. But if you have that opportunity, utilize it very well. I'm not saying that people won't give you opportunity, that how do you learn if they don't allow you to get to enter as an entry level, but you are not coming like, like a novice. You are coming in like someone that, mastered what he or she is doing based on hands-on experience and exposure. So when you come on site, you'll be able to do more because you've built the lab environment. You have a virtual environment, but now you are working in real time. Then this is what we are talking about when we talk about firewall. Okay, we have policy in place. How do I bypass firewall? How do I bypass this and that? Those are the kind of things that we do. All right, so that's how it works. Constant learning and implementation. Build labs. Build many labs. And don't crash your system. That's why we have the like of virtual box. We have the like of VMware. Those guys help you to create, another environment on your laptop so that in case tomorrow you downloaded something that has malware, you can easily delete that lab instead of formatting the whole of your system. Okay, I learned in an hard way. I crashed many systems, but after a while, all those things are in place so that you can, save yourself of some stress. So life is beautiful now, trust me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. So what's the best way to build a compelling resume as a fresh cybersecurity professional or as an aspiring cybersecurity professional? You've mentioned the importance of having a home lab, right? So beyond that, what's the best way to build a compelling resume? How would you, if you think back at yourself when you just started, what are the things that you did then that you wouldn't do now, getting into the field in terms of putting yourself out there and looking for opportunities?
Okay, so let me share one of my funny experience, and that was a couple of years ago on the island. I went for an interview, and that was my first ever interview as a cybersecurity engineer. But I passed their virtual test. Trust me, I'm good. I passed their. When I got to the outside, I went for an interview, but I was lectured. I was lectured. I was lectured back to my house, and I got home and I shed tears. Because this me that is a software engineer that I handle project of 2 million and the likes for me as a young boy, and I'm doing well. Like I felt like I'm a big boy. But transiting into cybersecurity, I was humbled. My first ever interview, I got back home, I was crying. I told the guys I want to be an application security engineer. And he started asking me many questions, many questions, and I couldn't answer any. And he watched me. He said, your journey is still far. You have to go back and learn the basics. But that's why I'm hammering on the basics. He told me to go back and start learning the basics. He lectured me, I got one. I took that as a challenge then. That was how you see I have many certifications today. I started, after learning them, I must get certification to show that I'm good at this. So that's one of the things. So I was eager to put myself out there. I have nobody to mentor me. I'm telling you the truth. I found it very difficult getting to see people in this space. I will message a lot of people on LinkedIn, no response. I'm not blaming them, right? So, and I learned from my mistakes. I got back home, then I cried. Actually, I cried that day. I cried very well. And I picked up myself, the broken me, and I pick up my book, I Google everything I need to learn: networking, programming, the system admin, server configurations, and I put down everything. And I started learning on daily basis. And here am I today, right? The person cannot even employ me now again. That's just the honest truth. That's the honest truth. Because when I look back, that was part of the things. I made a mistake because I was eager to put myself out there. If I have somebody like me now that will tell me, these are the things you need to do before you put yourself out there, I only believe by putting myself out there is when I will have opportunity to learn on the job. Whereas I can easily do that by building home labs and keep on, improving on myself, which was what I finally did and made me until I got my opportunity in the industry. All right. And when it comes to building a resume, I told people those experiences you've gained, from building labs, conquering different labs, they were things you are going to put in your CV that you can do. Never write what you can do. I've been privileged to interview many people for software roles and different roles. If I see you put in what you can't defend, that's the end. So I've gone for interview myself when you asked me something and I said, I don't know, I've not used it. But I have lab experience, but I've not used it in real life. Be honest as much as you can. Not how big the CV is. It could be small, it could be a page. Just state there what you've done and what you can. Be sure that everything in your CV is what you can answer. Don't say all in the name of looking for a job. Let me patch it to suit that purpose. Trust me. By the time you get to interview, they will mess with you and you will cry. So just put only what you can defend. That's all I have to say. And your experience should be things you've practiced on your lab. Put it there, you can do this, you can do that. When they ask you, oh, even though they know it's an entry level, even though I've not done it on-prem, but I've done it in my lab, then you tell me such thing in an interview, I value you more. I see you as someone that is eager to learn. You understand? So those are those things. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. It pays to to be truthful, especially when you are going for a job interview, because of course, I think the moment you say you can do one thing in your resume and they ask you in real life you can't perform, that's like, I don't think there's anyone who will look at you favorably when that kind of thing happens. Like, oh, so you say you can do this and look at you, look at you. Yeah, so
And funny enough, when you now have a nerd, you are being interviewed by a nerd. Trust me, some people used to tell me that I'm harsh. I'll be like, I'm not harsh. I'm just asking them questions based on what I think they should be able to do. But you know that, and I discovered that some people are not that wicked, but just based on their level of exposure and understanding and mastery of the role, they can ask you things that
yes.
I don't think before I will ask you a question in an interview. Trust me, when you are saying this, I'm giving you back to back. But before you get to that level, it takes a while. So please don't let us rush our career. Let's grow it. This basic thing can mess you up. I've seen a CISO asking, what's the meaning of a CISO don't understand domain name. You understand? It sounds very funny, but it's because they don't build, the foundations. The foundation is key. You need to build that foundation. That foundation is very, very key. I'm telling you, don't rush anything. Learn those basics. And trust me, you'll be amazed at where you find
Thank
yourself in a
you.
couple of years. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you especially for sharing that story with us. I believe that someone on this call has gotten like really useful information. So we are almost we have you've almost answered all the questions here. You've mentioned how challenging cybersecurity can be, and you've also talked about how to launch a career. But I want to ask you, because someone obviously asked the question, what do you think about launching a career in cybersecurity when you're above the age of 40? What has age got to do with it?
Trust me,
Tell
age
us
is not a
your
barrier.
perspective.
Age is never a barrier. Age is never a barrier. Age is never a barrier. Trust me, anytime you arrive in the industry, you are out there and the world is out there waiting for you. Cybersecurity, the only thing that can affect you is getting into an entry level role, right? Because of age. But I know that there are a lot of things you can do out there. There are a lot of organizations. I know of a mom I trained, is currently in London. I started training him from Nigeria. We got to meet, be like, hey, Ma, I call her Ma, say, Wally, how are you? Right? You understand? But now she's doing pretty well. She went to London for her master's in cybersecurity so that she can improve herself. A mom of 3 big girls. So,
wow.
Where am I coming from is age is not a factor, but you're consistent. Before she left the country, she got certified as an ethical worker and she passed. She had like and was 104 out of 126 or 127. She had a 104. So she passed very well. She did a ethical hacking, practical ethical hacking certifications, and she passed everything. And things like this are what we discuss. When she calls me, I will tell her this is what you need to do. She met me on LinkedIn. And the funniest thing, we've not even seen one-on-one. But the way we interact, I'm not the kind of person that is available. I can easily connect with you and tell you this and this and that. So, and she's doing fine now in London. So she appreciates it better. So age is not a factor, just your tenacity and curiosity. That curiosity must kill your cat.
Tenacity and curiosity. Thank
So
you so much.
that curiosity must kill your cat. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I like the fact that you did not just mention that age is not a factor. You actually brought in the story of another woman who is a mom of 3, right? Who got into cybersecurity and is now improving her skills, studying in the UK to advance her cybersecurity knowledge. I think that's amazing. I think it's also inspiring, right? Because most of the time people tend to think, oh, what if I learn this skill and I'm not able to get a job, not because I am not competent, but because maybe the potential employer thinks I'm too old and stuff like that. I think that kind of answers the question. I want to say that please let's stop disqualifying ourselves before other people disqualify us, right? We have not even entered into the interview room. You're already saying that they'll probably not want you there because of your age. Let's not do that. I remember a few days ago, I posted about how in my new place of work, I did one of the ladies who helped me debug my code some days back. She's a grandma. She's over 50 and she just started coding about 4 years ago, right? So that means she started at the age of, let's say she started at 49, right? And myself, I'll be 40 this year, right? And I just got my first real software developer role this year. So at 39. So let's also not always disqualify ourselves. There are opportunities out there. And let's hope that when we put ourselves out there, we're able to attract these opportunities and the best happens to us, right? So we have just one more question here. But before I ask that question, which is going to be like the final question from me to our guest, I'd like to open the floor for anyone on the call who has a question to ask. Please share if you have a question to ask before I ask my final question. Anyone on the call?
Can I go ahead, Ma?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. My question is I heard him talking about training. I don't know if
the volume,
hello?
Please. Volume.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I said he has been talking about trainings. That is a trainer.
Yes.
So can one reach out to him, or does he want to speak about it here? How he charges? That's the most important thing. The charges.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So yes, so she wants to hear from you. What does it take for someone to be your trainee? What does it take?
I didn't
Or
get
do
the
you want to
question.
answer the question outside of this call?
I didn't get the question. Actually, me, I'm not a trainer. Trust me. I don't have that time. That's the problem. That one you saw me training, it was my professor in school. He called me, and he has been of good help, recommendation. Like that. I can't just turn him down, right? Couple of people reach out to me. The time is not there. I'm serious. Like, the time is not just there for me to say I want to train, right? But and I don't train individuals, but if I have collective, group of people that really want me to train them, blah, 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 then we can agree on T and C's, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. Maybe twice in a weekend on the likes, then let's see, and we talk better. But for me, trust me, I don't like to commit myself to training because I don't have that time. That's why most of the trainings I've done in the past is volunteering roles. I don't have the time because I know I can tell you I'm out and you won't hold me. And not because I'm trying to share my knowledge, but I have other engagements. So for the training, we can look into schedules and see if it is very possible, but I would like to say that it should be like a team of, I love a team of than an individual because of the time. So that's what I have to say about that. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you for that. And thank you for that question. Anyone else have a question before I ask my last question? Any other questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, I'll go ahead with the last question here. And it is, what personally motivates you and keeps you going in the dynamic field of cybersecurity? For example, AI is here, it's not going anywhere, right? And that could be a motivating factor for you to keep learning because, of course, you have to be right. You have to ensure that you are right on track, right, with the speed of evolution of these technologies, right? And I think as AI is being integrated into systems, there is a very urgent need for people like you to also begin to look at what will AI be able to do for non-ethical hackers that people like you should help organizations resolve, right? So what keeps you motivated and what keeps you going? And maybe you can share with us what are your perspectives on AI in the field of cybersecurity? How do you think it will affect it?
All right, so thanks you for that question. Part of the things, what keeps me going is my passion for cybersecurity. Trust me, it's just my passion. Even when I was a software engineer, I've always wanted to be an ethical hacker. So that has been the goal. Even me becoming a programmer is never my dream. My dream is to become an hacker. So all those ones becoming a network engineer, a programmer is just the route to who I am today. So I love what I'm doing and I derive maximum satisfaction in it. So passion for cybersecurity. I'm personally motivated. I don't need anything to motivate me. You understand? So when you do what you love, you get money. Trust me, you get money. You are being paid. There is money in cybersecurity. Trust me, cool money in cybersecurity, but you need to grow to the level of doing what you love. All right. So another thing I'm going to speak to in terms of AI is we have different frameworks. AI is an enabler. AI is not coming to take anybody's job. It's just coming to assist to make work much more easier for us. In cybersecurity, we use this AI, to improve and, there is an aspect of AI, we have what we call deep learning. We have deep learning, we have machine learning and the likes, trainable models and the likes, right? In cybersecurity, developing an AI enabled platform. You understand? And in developing an AI enabled platform that is going to ensure that you know, they are able to monitor your activities, your logins, you know, your movements, they detect vulnerabilities, and you know, hint you ahead of time. So these things are part of what we need to work on, you know, part of the values that AI is bringing into the industry. So for me, AI is out there to assist. AI is out there to help us improve the process. AI can never take on my job. I believe that. I'd rather learn how to use AI to improve what I'm working on. Okay, so we have OWASP standard when it comes to vulnerabilities in AIs. When you look at, you know, the likes of DeepSeek and all those things, what happened were just injections. Trust me, they are basic injections because they are injection attack. Those were the things that affected those platforms. So we started from source code review, all right? And you write an ML code for a particular machine. You know, when you are training a models, we look at ways in which we can break the models. We look at ways in which we can allow the modem to behave in an abnormal way other than the way it has been programmed. You understand? So all those measures start from source code review. I do source code review, I do source code. When you look at me as application security engineer, they ask you must understand programming. It's even a requirement for my discipline. You must be a good programmer because you'll be able to correct the developer that this code you are writing is not best secured code. You must learn how to write a secure code. So you look at things like injections. Are you doing escape sequencing? You know, if I want to launch an attack against an AI platform, it's from the prompts. That's why people learn prompt engineering and all those things. So you need to understand that. There was a time I started something with AI. They blocked me for when ChatGPT initially first, you know, was released. For a while, I was loading it with different payload. They blocked me for like 2 months because I was loading it with different payload because I want to hack it. I want to see what it's going to bring out. And I was blocked for like 2 months before I was unblocked again. So there are different measures that should be put in place. But for instance, you just have to understand what are you using, what is the AI code, you know, trying to solve. Then when you understand what it's trying to solve, because generally in application security, what we do is we have what we call use case. I know some of us are developers know use case. We have abuse use case and we have security use case. Use case is, for instance, when you log in into a mobile app, you put in your username and password, you log in. Then when you go there, you want to transfer money to partner B, okay? But for me, as a bad boy, I don't want to log in with username and password. I just want to log in with my username alone. I don't want to put my password. I'm going to find a way to make sure I break that password. So those are abuse use case. You understand? That can be modeled. We have what we call threat intelligence. Threat intelligence is also part of a career path in cybersecurity. You get to know more about threats that are current, you know, trending threats. What are their IOC, indicator of compromise? That is what I mean by IOC. And how do you prevent yourself against them? So all I'm saying is you're going to do a threat model against those AI models. So when you have all those threat models, they are the one that is going to guide you and teach you more on what, you know, on how to protect. When I'm building a threat model, it gives me an overview of different forms of attack that can happen to the current mobile application or website that I'm launching. Then from there, I will come with different security measures that must be in place for such AI-developed platform or AI-enabled platform to be secured. So threat model is always there for us to model different kind of attack that will come from different sources. So, and I believe when you get that right, you are fine. Thank you. And we have OWASP frameworks that we work with for it, you know, AI enabled. I posted something around that on my LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. So they are all there as well. Right. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I believe that this session has been very valuable to our attendees. And I want to thank every one of you for staying till this time. Thank you so much, Adewale Aderoju, for sharing your wealth of experience, for sharing insights, for giving us those stories to inspire us. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on board MumsWhoCode and doing this with us. I hope that when we call on you in the future, that you will answer us again. Yeah,
I'll try my
thank you.
best. I'll try my best.
Thank you so much. And so for those who would want to contact you, I think you mentioned that LinkedIn is your home. So I believe that's the best way to reach you.
Yeah, that's one of the best ways, trust me. One of the best. Just indicate that from MumsWhoCode for faster response. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us that priority. Thank you so much. And I'd like to just allow, say, one or two comments from attendees. If you have something to say to our guests, please unmute yourself and speak. Let's try to be out of here by 8:30. Please feel free to unmute and speak if you have anything to say.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nothing to say than to say thank you for the great insight. I'm not interested in learning cybersecurity, but I learned a lot from everything you said. Even though I'm into software development and UI UX design, but thank you for all you said. It's really interesting to know all this about cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Anyone else?
Okay. Mr. Aderoju, I would say a very big thank you to you because you have been able to ease my fear. I have some. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I would say a very big thank you to you for the enlightenment, even with the way you were analyzing issues. There are some things that I already know of, and I'm always skeptical about them. Are you sure this is right? Are you sure this is correct? You are able to shed light on them. And the patience, the way you were even answering us is as if you already met us somewhere before. Thank you for your time, your welcoming. You created a kind of home somehow that in fact I feel like I've known you like 10 years now. So thank you very much. God bless you and bless what you do. I will just seek you permission. You already gave us permission and we will disturb you. Please do well to help us. God will bless you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that. And just to quickly say that for the Digital Women Bootcamp, which is coming up soon, this is the first time we'll actually be including the cybersecurity track. And hopefully we'll be able to deliver on that to help women who are very new to cybersecurity kind of get the foundational knowledge they need for them to even make decisions as to whether they even want to further to get into the field, or they want to switch to something else, or they are there already and they want to move from one level to the next, right? So this is going to be our first time, and hopefully God will help us deliver on that. So thank you once again, Mr. Wale Aderoju. God bless you so much for joining us. It's a huge pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah,
So
thank you,
looking forward
everyone.
to next time. Bye, everyone, and thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you all.